Welcome to another episode of Kera Dangerous Talk. I've been looking forward to this one. It's a throwback for me. It's going to be a little bit of a reunion here. I got the wordsmith himself, the poet king, Mr. Tommy Bottoms. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I am doing awesome. How you doing? How you doing?
I am doing great.
Good, good, good.
Tommy, on this show, I started out doing what we call give you your flowers.
Okay.
And it's where I get a chance to tell people something that I like about them, show them love that I think that I just want to make sure they know that I have and others have for them.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
yeah. And normally I ask the person this question here. I say, can you sit back, relax, and take your flowers?
Hey, I appreciate that. That's what's up. I'm gonna definitely do that.
Yes. So let me tell you something. You are from Atlanta, Georgia. At least that's where I met you. And
Well, go ahead.
yeah, I'll let you correct me. But
Okay, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
when I was a teenager, I would always go up to Atlanta to hang out with one of my friends who was heavy on the hip hop scene, a local underground magazine, Georgia Up and Coming. The owner used to take me to the Apache Cafe in Atlanta, and the Apache Cafe was just a cool place for me. Just being able to see all the artists that were there, rappers, poets, singers, musicians, and everything. And that's where I saw you. And I remember you would always drink a Heineken because that was like Tommy Bottom's thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know I grew up writing poetry as well as loving hip hop, but seeing you and the other poets there at the Apache Cafe, y'all really brought it to life for me. And when I was able to see you do your thing there on stage, it just let me know that it was attainable. The dream was attainable. And you made poetry extra cool because it's not like you were some dead person I was reading about in a book that
Yeah.
told poetry. You were somebody right there that I could touch that looked just like me. I mean, for God's sake, you were drinking Heineken, you know what I mean? So we don't want to say that too much because they're not a sponsor, but you
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but you just it was good to see the movement that you was a part of. So I just want to kind of just throw those flowers at you today, Tommy.
Hey,
You been,
I'm so humbled right now. You know what I mean? I really, really am. I was just expecting just a regular little interview, and I really wasn't expecting that. And I am definitely humbled, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I definitely do.
no problem, man. This is what this show's about, and you've been doing it for a long time, and it hasn't been. Don't think it's you just been doing it. Nobody's paying attention. People pay attention, and I mean you an OG in the game now, brother.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
OG.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, since we got everything feeling all good, warm, and nice, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the audience with the intro. Go, we gotta let them know where they at, Tommy.
Okay.
Just like this.
So,
All right, and we're back with my main man, Tommy Bottoms. Look, Tommy, it seemed like when I was giving my flowers, you wanted to correct me. Now, you don't tell me you're not from Atlanta now.
no, no. I've been in Atlanta for actually this is my 20th year. I got here in 2002. I'm originally from a small town called Peru, Indiana, and but I moved here from Indianapolis, Indiana. That's where I was living at before I moved to Atlanta. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
the
you know what?
but I call Atlanta home. I've been here 20 years, so it's definitely part of my heart.
Well, you know what? I respect that because you don't want them to say you claiming the wrong set.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
get
yeah,
mad
yeah,
and like
yeah.
I do Tommy when he was fine. He ain't from Atlanta. Look, he representing both places. Okay, he can do that. He can do that. Now look, Tommy, I said, I saw you when I was younger, and you gave me something to aspire to. But tell me a little bit about that journey before you got to Russell Simmons' program on HBO. What were
Okay.
you doing
Okay.
growing up that got you into poetry?
Now I'm not I don't have the traditional story when it comes to poetry. I kind of came into it late. I'm not one of those people that'll say I've been writing since I was 2 or nothing like that. I got into it really in the late '90s. Stumbled upon a open mic spot, almost on accident. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was there for a reason, but I had no idea that there was this kind of underground little open mics. You know what I mean? I had no idea that they existed. This is in Indianapolis at the time, and so to make a long story short, I started going and slowly started making a name for myself in Indianapolis, as far as in the poetry and everything. And then I eventually did this show at Indiana University, and there was a poet by the name of Mums who used to be on a show called Oz. He played a character named Poet, and he was hosting this event at university. So I had.
Hey guys, I'm not sure if we lost Tommy. I'm trying to see if he's still there with us, because if you guys can hear him, I cannot. Can you guys hear Tommy, guys? Let me know in the comments. I think I just lost him. Hopefully he'll be able to resume. Let's see if I can get him back, guys. Okay, I see your comments coming through. Okay, he's froze on your end too. Okay. There he is. Let me get him right back. Okay, here he is, guys.
That's for that.
Okay, we're back, Tommy. We lost you for a second there.
Long story short, I'm not sure where I dropped off at, but I did have the opportunity to eventually, once I moved to Atlanta, to perform at the Fox Theater, which gave me the opportunity to do a kind of an impromptu audition for Stan Latham, who was the executive producer of the show. So, and Black Ice, actually, the poet Black Ice, took me backstage after the show, introduced me to Stan. I did about 30 seconds of a poem, if that long, before Stan cut me off, and I was like, oh, he must not have liked it. And Black was like, yo, no, that means he did like it. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe about, a month or two later, they called me to be a part of the show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful story. Before you got to that point, when you think of poets, people think about Jill Scott Heron and Maya Angelou. Who were you listening to and reading?
Well, the very first, I guess, spoken word artist I was introduced to, even before I was, quote unquote, doing it, was Saul Williams in the movie Slam.
Yeah.
And that kind of blew my mind, you know what I'm saying? Like seeing that, there was a particular scene where he was in jail, and it was kind of getting a little tension in there, and he started spitting his poem, and it kind of blew everybody's mind, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of, I thought that was powerful, you know what I mean? And so that was my first introduction to it. And then as far as my peers, Black Ice was probably one of the first people that I saw that I was really, really messing with as I was kind of watching the Def Poetry series, as a viewer. So he was definitely somebody that I was definitely listening to and checking for when I very first started doing it. And then a lot of people come after that, but initially that's who I was really checking for.
What made you different from the other guys? Because most of the time, you know, at that time, at your age, or just being a black male, people would assume it's poetry and then there's hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
What made you not go that hip hop way?
I just never did. I didn't. I never was ever like trying to be an MC. I literally just kind of stumbled into the poetry side of it. So it was all kind of unexpected. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't go to the first open mic thinking that I was going to do it 20 years later. You know what I mean? It was just I stumbled upon it. I just kind of like what I do too. You know, I've done stuff with music and people, you know, ask me, you know, invite me to be on music projects, but I like to kind of create a rhythm within my cadence and stuff like that. That sometimes it's, you know, doesn't necessarily go along with your typical 1-2 beat, you know, type of thing. So, but you know, I like what I do. I could do it with music if necessary, but
you definitely got like a little spitter in you, because you start spitting halfway through some of them poems, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm from the generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I'm definitely influenced by the, you know, hip hop culture and MCing and all that. I'm definitely, so I mean, so when you talk about who I looked up to, you know what I'm saying? Of course, there's the Black Ices, but there's also the Nas's and you know, the MF Dooms. Probably wouldn't even know MF Doom then, but even a Common, you know, just I'm from the era. I'm old enough to remember when there was no such thing as hip hop.
Right.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember that.
Besides artists like Tupac and DMX, who we know were very poetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would you think would make a great poet as a rapper right now?
Kendrick Lamar. As far when I, you know, making a distinction between like a spoken word artist, J. Cole could definitely do it. But I think Kendrick and his style would translate better on stage, because J. Cole would just be saying bars and it would sound like bars, which is cool. But I think Kendrick Lamar would have a little bit more kind of spoken word essence to it than just saying 16 bars. You know what I mean? I think they're both talented, but I think Kendrick Lamar could definitely be on that in that level, if you want to call him a spoken word artist.
You know what? I just thought about something, and it may be crazy, but in my mind, I just said, you're the Dave Chappelle of poetry. Like, for real. Like, your whole stance on stage.
Oh, the Dave Chappelle of poetry?
Yeah, like,
I've heard, my family calls me that. That's
really?
So funny you say that. Yeah, my auntie and them, they always talk about how much you look like Dave Chappelle.
I'm telling you, brother. Look,
yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is because I knew you, and I this will come full circle. I knew you as Tommy Bottoms, but I see you sort of go by a new name. Check this out.
Gangster. Educated. Gangster. Educated. Gangster.
Yeah.
Educated Gangster. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a new nickname?
You know what's interesting about that, right? That particular phrase was part of a poem called "Educated Gangster," and actually, it was a pejorative. When the poem was about like kind of the rich and powerful who go to like the top schools and they're able to carve out their own little hustle, you know, with, you know, no accountability. Same thing that if we did it, it would be a criminal, you know what I mean? So actually the term was a pejorative within the poem. And then over time, it just kind of took on a life of its own from, you know, and it became kind of like a nickname, like meaning more what probably people think of it when like the like an educated gangster scholar or something like that. But no, it really started off as a pejorative, and then it kind of took off into another direction from there. Exactly.
That's pretty cool. And I want to show people exactly how you get down as the educated gangster.
Now, please excuse me if I come off a little aggressive. See, I'm a college-educated man, but still I'm a little rough around the edges. See, I was born in blue-collar pants, but I'm primarily a byproduct of hip-hop, rock cocaine, and everybody want to play in the goddamn NBA. Tatted up with a fresh pair of J's. See, I spit slick 80s baby slang. I eventually graduated from the University of NWA. I went on and got my doctorate in sidewalk economics from Ice Cube U. I wrote my dissertation on the back of some blunt papers about why niggas got attitudes. Now, needless to say, most of my colleagues don't be feeling me because I refuse to play by the rules. Plus, I pissed off half of the faculty with my raspy Adam's apple and my radical points of view. They had a nerve to call me a crackpot buffoon. Simply because I was the only one willing to point out and mention when there's an 800-pound gorilla sitting in the middle of the room. Woo! Had all my fellow professors shook with my intellectual lectures about how crooks and books go together like ATL and good weather.
Yes. That's an educated gangster right there.
Yeah. Now, like that's what's interesting about that. From that poem, I ended up taking, it was like a 3-minute poem, and kind of taking that 3-minute poem and building an hour and a half stage play around this whole other concept, which comes from that image you flashed up a second ago, the play called Educated Gangster 101. So like I said, that from that one poem and that title, it just kind of went into a whole lot of different directions.
And when you listen to what you were saying there, that was like that was a bio. That was the Tommy Bottoms bio. I feel.
Yeah.
You have.
It is really in the play. We even it's kind of that that the idea of it. Kind of when I was hitting on it earlier, like I remember when there was no hip hop. So I've seen the evolution of and when I'm talking about that evolution, I'm also talking about the influence of what hip hop was having over a generation. And hip hop was hitting at the same time as crack was hitting, and so all these things were kind of happening at the same time. And then you've got this generation coming out of, this is the first generation post Jim Crow. People going off to college. This is when you start seeing that first wave of that, and all these different things are going on at the same time. You do have the Evans, but you also got some Cosby kids out here too, and everything in between. You know what I'm saying? And so all those different things are going on. Meanwhile, the music and the culture is also providing the soundtrack that's going on behind us, and also influencing, how we see the world. You know what I mean? So I definitely consider myself of the crack generation. You know what I mean? Not necessarily because I sold crack or anything like that, but our slang from the 90s, how we wore our clothes, how we viewed the world was from the perspective of crack cocaine and, dope. Dope meaning good. Like, oh, that's dope. That comes from crack. You see what I'm saying? These are the words that still are ingrained into our language to this day, 25 years later. If I say something dope, almost amongst other people of the generation, they know exactly what I mean. They don't mean you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my perspective of speaking of that particular line in that poem.
That's why I called you the Dave Chappelle, because you have a way of implementing into your poetry what is going on in the world, and you do it in such a graceful way, but you do it in a powerful way as well. And because when you talk about issues, people really listen. I caught this picture of you wearing this shirt that says "I am poetry," And that really just speaks to it for me. I want to ask you, because it's been a long time that we've talked, where we are right now in the world. I just wonder how much material a poet could have right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the time. This is the best time. I say it in the poem. This is the best time to be alive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like really. You know what I mean? For me, for a lot of people, it's panic and fear and this and that. But for me, it's like, man, this is great. It's awesome. Because a lot of this stuff, man, is just, it's nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean? So, a lot of this stuff is just seeing things that people talked about 40 years ago kind of playing out in real life. You know what I'm saying? But if you're only just born 20 years ago, it probably seems real scary because you ain't heard it before. You're experiencing it different. But for me, a lot of the stuff that's happening now is the stuff that people said was crazy. It would never happen. It's a conspiracy. I mean, we live in a time where aliens, the United States government admits that UFOs are real. And that's not even the biggest story of our time.
Right.
That should be the story of our lifetime. That the United States government says, yes, UFOs are real. But that's like number 107 on the
that's crazy,
on the list
right?
of things that people are thinking about. Should be the story of our lifetime. But that just shows you how crazy the times are.
Whew. Lots of material out here for the artists, guys. It's a crazy world. In fact, you knew that a long time ago, just like you know it now.
She got plenty of media minutes. Who matter of fact, the division shape public opinion to keep the people confused. I mean, they got the news that can try to entertain you while the comedians give you the news. And that's why they call it a media circus. Because the joke is on us. Because in the age of the absurd, the clowns are laughing at us. Thank God.
Yeah. Oh, you found some shit. Found some stuff. Okay.
Well, I got to show the people what you do. You were in your bag there.
I remember. Say it again.
I said you were in your bag right there, and you said that the clowns are now laughing at us because we have become the circus.
Oh yeah. It's the age of the absurd. What's up is down and what's right is left. Nothing makes sense anymore. You know what I'm saying? The world is, not to be, into the worldish, but I think we are in the last days, not from maybe the last days of the world, but the last days of a certain thing that's probably lasted a few centuries, and we're going into some other thing now. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it don't make sense. Because really you're watching the collapse of Western dominance in the world. And so what replaces it? Power, some's always going to fill that vacuum. You know what I'm saying? So what does that look like? And are we already living under it? You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we keep thinking about what's getting ready to happen and not it's happening. Not like, in a minute it's gonna be doing this, in a minute they're gonna be, no, they're already doing it. You're already living through it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it seems, like you said, the time seems so crazy, because it's happening in real time and not something that, they're getting ready to do. Because that's how we've kind of seen it for a while. Like, they're about to do this. No, they're doing whatever it is, they're doing it.
So whatever grandma was talking about is going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's happening now. It's not just, and that's what makes it feel weird, because we're not used to seeing or experiencing it in real time like that, where it's, like I said, we expect it to happen. Like I remember when Barack Obama got elected, probably 99% of Black people believed it would be another 50 years. They're like, there'll eventually be one, but not. The next thing you know is, boom, it's here. You see what I'm saying? Like, not 50, but in your lifetime. You see what I'm saying?
It's like when it's like when somebody has something terribly wrong with them happen, like, you know, a medical issue, and they say, well, this just came on me all of a sudden. It's like, no, it didn't. Your body was showing you little signs. You ignored it, and now you're here.
Absolutely.
And it's like, that's why they distract us with all this stuff. And then you find yourself wrapped up, and then all your laws and stuff are taken, and you don't know how.
Oh, yeah. And that's kind of the interesting thing. I in a lot of my poetry, I talk about the influence of social media and how people interact and how people, you know, view the world. And so much of it is just interesting. One of those things I'll watch where suddenly everybody's talking about this thing they wasn't talking about a week ago. Mm-hmm. Like this thing, hoochie man shorts or hoochie daddy shorts.
Oh my God! You must have saw
where did this originate from? Yeah. One day nobody's talking about this, then suddenly there's a thing called hoochie daddy shorts, and everybody has an opinion on it. Where does that originate? It is social media driven. No one knows the origin of it. Is it implanted in this? Is it the algorithm? What is the origin of this thing that? You know what I mean? It's just everybody. I see people posting and people have an opinion about it. About something probably 2 weeks ago. They had no concept of what is it? Hoochie daddy shorts. Never heard this word before.
I know I'm a poet because I be thinking the same thing. Like,
I was like, where did this happen? It's just all of it. But that shows you, to me, you know, maybe that's just somebody playing around with something. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's like suddenly everybody, like, remember when people were doing, it was the bucket challenge, I think it was, where they were dumping ice water over their head. And everybody was doing it. And 99% of the people had no idea what the origins of that was or what they were doing it for or what they were supposed to do. None of that. They were just doing it. Baby. That disease, it was a very rare disease. I think it was Lou Gehrig's disease, very rare disease. They had raised like cancer level money, you know what I mean? More money. But for a disease, like I said, for most of these people had no idea what the disease was, mm-hmm. Who it affected. And like I said, it's a very rare disease, you know.
They actually had to get the person who started it, who was suffering from the disease, to say why he had to come out and say, this is why the challenge actually started.
Exactly. You know
what I'm saying? People just getting wet by some cold water just for, you know, it. Yeah.
And it just starts and it takes off. And
it takes off. Just like you took off, and we talked about it a little bit, but mm-hmm. you got your big opportunity when you became one of Russell Simmons' Def Poetry Jam poets. You hit the big stage. That show aired in 2002, and it was on HBO. And we got a chance to see celebrities sometimes and the poets who spoke to a generation, and you were included in that. How was that experience? And I know that's a big question, but mm-hmm. how was that experience in whole for you, Tommy?
It was really, you know, I don't want to just, you know, it was awesome because it was, but more importantly, it was, you know, when I look back on it, it was kind of the building blocks for a lot of relationships. Because at that time there was a lot of other stuff going on. So the whole energy of everything up there when we because it was like at a particular year there was like 11 people from Atlanta mm-hmm. that were on the show. In fact, they called that season the Atlanta season. But it was a sense of camaraderie, mm-hmm. A sense of community, a sense of networking. It was really a good feeling. Like I said, the time on the stage is ill. I tell people all the time it's like the best stage you'll perform on, mm-hmm. because of how it's set up.
Were you nervous when you first got up there? even though you had done
Uh,
performances prior?
I was a little bit, probably, but actually probably no more nervous than I would normally be. You know, I was
Mhm.
a little nervous, so I don't think I was more nervous than I normally would be. But it's one of those audiences that, particularly, they would do tape 3 shows a day, a 2 o'clock show, a 6 o'clock show, and a 9 o'clock show. If you did the 2 o'clock show, they really were just pulling people off the street. So they would be just
Mhm.
giving out like Knicks tickets or just filling up the crowd, you know, just getting people in there. But if you were on that 6 o'clock show or that 9 o'clock show, those people were there for the show. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So particularly, so if you got on that 9 o'clock show, it was going to be extra packed, and then everybody they can't talk. You know what I'm saying? There is no bar, so they're there to listen, and so it's the energy in there when you perform is really is amazing because there are no distractions. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? You're there for this. Most of them people stood in line for a few hours for the ticket, so and it's TV, so there's no side conversations. It's 100% focus. You know, so so on that level, it's an amazing stage. But like I said, but the memory for me mostly because I did it 2 years was just that sense of family and community with a lot of people I still run the streets with to this day. You know what I
Did you
mean?
get a lot of respect back in Atlanta?
Oh well, you know what was really ill. It was really like I said that particular city, Atlanta got a lot of respect.
Mhm.
I'll say that because it was like I said, it was like 11 people on the show and everybody killed. And so
Mhm.
that was kind of the talk in New York around that little circle was like, Atlanta is killing it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, so if anything, Atlanta really got a lot of shine. Like that's what everybody was talking about at the thing was like everybody showed out. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
wonder
it
did that
was
help usher in the change in hip hop a little bit too. You know, maybe they
I
start
well
looking at
a lot of those artists were and I won't necessarily speak directly where they were influenced by Def Poetry Jam in specifically, but I do know that a lot of artists just like even I was speaking of a Kendrick Lamar, right? He's on at least I know at least on a couple of his albums he has like kind of a spoken word type of
Mhm.
joint, which tells me you've been exposed to it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, particularly when you talk about the Apache early or the
Mhm.
Yin Yang, you got all type of people coming in there, particularly on the poetry night, and they're definitely um, influenced by the culture of it because it's just as much part of everything else, but it's this different thing at the same time. And so, yeah, when you remember if you go to Apache, it would be rappers in there, poets, singers, comedians, all type of people would get up on that stage. But the draw was the poetry. You know what I'm
And it was
saying? That's what was
electric. I'm happy to
exactly.
have been a part of that because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that that's history. Man,
absolutely.
I just thought about that. That's really dope that I had those experiences. Like I really used to go there all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Well, we made a documentary about it. You know what I'm saying? So
I
it,
gotta
it,
check
it
it out.
it's just like just what you just said is for although we're highlighting the artist, we're also highlighting it's the people because that's one of the questions that we ask in the documentary: is it the space or is it the people? Because, like you said, the space is electric, but or is it this particular group of people that's in here too? You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like that synergy between what's going on the stage and the people in the audience and what's going on in the back and what's going on out front. It's all this one thing. You know what I'm saying? And everybody, you kind of got to be on a certain path to even find it. It's a hole in the wall spot at the end of a dead end street. that at the time you was probably going, there was a lot of junkies and all kind of homeless people out there. It was real sketchy, you know what I'm saying? And prostitutes and trannies and
look,
all
I
kind
just
of
came
crazy.
from my car to the door.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
In a tight parking lot in the back. I remember.
Exactly. But look what all you had to go through to get there. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that's what made that place special, because you just didn't. You had to be in the know, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? You had to be. This is kind of where the cool kids at. You know what I mean? This is because you could really, you could go to Apache any day of the week and find some kind of crazy or whatever, floats your boat. You know what I'm saying? But you got to walk through.
Been in that documentary. You gotta let me know where I can find that at.
Oh yeah, it's on. We have a distribution deal through Dame Dash Studios. Wow. So right now it's currently on Tubi right now. You can watch it free right now.
That's dope, Tommy.
Yeah,
man, this is such a good reunion. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Now,
yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, we are. I have to ask you, did you get to bump elbows with this icon in the industry?
Absolutely, I did.
Russell Simmons.
He was.
Oh, you know what?
He was backstage when we were performing.
Oh, no, I want to say, before you tell us that, let me just go ahead and say hello to everybody, because I forgot. Hello, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and everybody in the live chat. Please say hello if you haven't already. I know it's people viewing. They don't always show me who, but I know y'all there. So make sure you press thumbs up and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This is Kera Dangerous Talk, and I'm talking with poet Tommy Bottoms. Again, Tommy, you say you got a chance to bump elbows with Russell Simmons. Now tell us about it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily nothing monumental. He was backstage. He just happened to be back because he's there, but I think when he was just there, he used to do the little thing at the end, thank you and good night. So he was just back there for a few minutes, and he changed out of his clothes. He put on a different outfit, little different fat form outfit. So, other than talking to him while he was in his boxers, you know what I'm saying? That was probably the only crazy thing. But other than that, he was, pretty much like you see him on TV, kind of, I mean, I don't know him personally enough to say, we had a brief conversation though. Yeah.
That's dope. But since we're talking about it, I gotta show people one time how you used to rock that stage. Here we go.
Ain't about what you got, it's about what you can keep. You see, when that task force sweep, best believe they're taking the cars, the rims, the beats, the cash, the crib, and the platinum Z's piece. End up getting sentenced to a 10-piece and get released and try to look for peace, but you can't get to a piece because that felony on your record got you marked as a beast. You got to go back to the streets so you can cop you a piece, so you can take you a piece. That's why the streets don't see peace. So that just one of the many vicious cycles to compromise the struggle. Now, understand we can't all do it like Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable, so don't stop hustling, just change your hustle. See, America is designed for to get rich. There's a minimum wage for to get paid off in this bitch, and most of them is legit. Just find the market you want to target, produce a service and or a product, and your revenues minus your expenses is going to equal your profit.
Yeah, baby. That's got to be like playing in Madison Square Garden when you're in the NBA.
Man, that was what was ill about that thing. Went viral like probably like 10 years later, something like that. More people have seen it now than when they seen it then, which is
now that is awesome, and that's what you like to hear. That's a memory that you're always gonna have. But you got to tell me, like, Mos Def was the host of the show, a great rapper, poetic in his own right. And then we had a guy that I think everyone knows well take the stage. Man, so that's one of his songs actually that he recited. We learned that later, but still, it was a great playground for people to come and really show what they could do. Did you ever get to bump into Kanye?
No, he wouldn't. I wasn't taping on that show. But the interesting thing about that was that was Kanye on his grind. You know what I'm saying? Like he already had a deal and he was dealing with people. You know, he had to audition. Wow. They didn't just let him on.
Right. Yeah, you watch this documentary, they didn't give him nothing for free. He had
he had to send in the same audition tape I had to send in. And he was already a signed artist. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, yeah.
But no, I just think that speaks to what that platform was at that time. You know what I mean? Because it really was built for people who enjoy words and how words are put together and storytelling and, you know, building narratives and really just, you know, people who looking to master their craft when it comes to words. And it was a good platform for people to see people doing that.
Now, even though, you know, I like the program and you know what, I just remember, I think y'all came to the Fox in Atlanta because I went to one of the events.
Yeah.
Look, see, Tommy, I was
That's
on
the one I
journey
performed
with
at. Yeah.
I was on the journey with you. Look at this.
Yeah. You might have been there when I performed. Yeah.
Yes. And I remember just being so like amazed at everything that was going on. I remember telling my friend I went with, not my friend now, thank God. I said, man, I want to do that. And she was like, you gotta start slow first. I'm like, bitch, I can dream. Like, let me have my dream. Like, you know, but hey. Like, come on.
No, yeah. The Fox was an amazing show. Part of when they were doing the Def Jam on Broadway tour. Yeah, yes. That's like I said, that's when I met Stan Latham. Yeah.
November 20, they did in November 2002, that's when they did the Broadway part of Def Poetry Jam, if I'm correct here. Yep. And like you said, Stan Lathan, a well-known TV producer, directed that. Yeah. Now, even though I liked it and you liked it and different people liked it, and thank you, viewer, for the super chat. That's actually my brother. And I'm only saying that because people know on my albums, Easy the Egyptian Vulture. But I'll take $10 from anybody. So, yeah. All right. Look, even though I love what was going on, y'all did have some critics. Now, Mark Smith, the founder of the Poetry Slam movement. And if you don't know what a Poetry Slam is, it reminds me a lot, which I'm going to ask you in just a minute. It reminds me of battle rap, okay? But Mark Smith, the founder of the Poetry Slam movement, and I got this from Wikipedia, he criticized Def Poetry Jam because he said it was exploitative entertainment program that diminished the value and aesthetic of performance poetry. Now, to me, when I hear that, I'm saying to myself, well, shouldn't he just be happy to see that poetry had made it on television? Because I don't remember it being on that level before like that, at least when I was growing up. So why take such a stance to kind of be negative against something that was good for so many people?
And you know, I think to speak to that, I think it's two different poetry worlds. The world of Mark Smith and the slam community is a different. I mean, it's all the same, and it gets a little gray area, and then there's like kind of like the urban nightclub poetry. The other slam poetry, that other kind of is more coffee shop.
Like
more suburban, yeah. Where
the wind, the sun, the earth, the sky.
And then where you would see a lot of the people who, or what they might call on Def Poetry Jam, are people who performing in bars and performing in front of people who might not necessarily really even like poetry. You know what I'm saying? It's just two different worlds. I'm not really making an argument about which one is better. I mean, I could have this discussion all day.
But do you think that he should have criticized it? But you're just saying that you understand.
I understand. I mean, you know, he got his right to his opinion. I understand where it comes from, though. So he probably, from his world, from his perspective, that's probably 100% true what he said. So because that's how he's going to see it. Because it's different. And which also, a lot of that was part of the Deaf Poetry Jam, which was, some of that comes from that world isn't, it appeals to the people who are really, really into that, right? And then there's people who, you'll take some of those same people who can really excel in this world, and you put them in front of a room full of people drinking, and there's music going, all different type of distractions, and they might not necessarily know who XYZ is or even care who they are. They may not do as well in this world. You know what I'm saying? That Poetry Jam kind of appealed to more this world. The same people who are going to go listen to Cat Williams, or, you know what I'm saying? The same people who are going to go to a noisy nightclub in a bar and enjoy entertainment, as opposed to this other art form where the people are there to enjoy the art more than they are there to enjoy it, to be entertained, so to speak. Well, I think that's the difference.
People here want to be entertained, and they're going to be all into it. So I think without further delay, we just need to let people have this live performance that you're about to do. You're going to recite one of your pieces called The Have and Have Nots. And I'm excited about this.
Okay, I really appreciate you. Once again, I am humbled. Thank you, you know what I'm saying, for allowing me to, to spend this time with you. I definitely appreciate it.
That's what it's all about, brother.
Let's see here. I'm the Don Juan of Vagabonds, a rock star with a martyr card, blessed with an ability to hobnob the haves, but see, I was raised on ham hocks. So I make sure I use my gift of gab to speak on behalf of the have-nots. Now, some choose to be confused whether or not they're have-not or a have, so allow me to give you a clue. If you've ever complained about the price of a gallon of gas, trust me, you are not one of the haves. So whether you want to acknowledge it or not, America's in the middle of a second civil war, the rich versus the poor, and I'm a have-not with a sword. Prepared to put my mind and my rhymes on the front line of this war against the poor. See, when you're a billionaire, they call it a bailout. But when you broke, it's a handout because you're on WIC EBT. But welfare by another name is still government cheese. Now me break it down if you please. Now Uncle Sam got a program called agricultural subsidies, just a fancy name for government cheese. A welfare for the wealthy. Now I won't get along with it with a definition. I'm going to keep a sip and call it price fixing. Now, these agricultural subsidies is why Burger King and Mickey D's can sell you $1 menu double cheese, giving feet real feels on Pepsi when they know damn well it ain't healthy. And the FDA, they know the truth. That $1 menu gonna kill you. When they lying to you, they don't tell you that fast food is just slave food. See, ain't no difference between chicken McNuggets and chitlins. It's simply low-quality food produced specifically for the poverty-stricken, not to mention the middle class, just busting their ass looking for something quick and affordable to feed their children. And if you take the time to look at the bigger picture, you will see why the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting sicker. That's why you got 9-year-olds about obesity, ADD. 30 years later, it's heart disease and diabetes. But what you gonna do when your family 5? 2-parent home working 9 to 5, just trying to survive. And the white check don't come to the end of the week, the car that it'll start, and the kids still gotta eat. Well, that $1 menu looking good to you. Or what if you're a baby mama even divorced, a single mother out with no child support? Well, that $1 menu looking good to you because you can feed the whole crew with the 2 for 2. No claim to be the smartest guy in the room. But I can tell you this, the CEO of Mickey D's ain't feeding his family no Mickey D's. And yes, indeed, Big Macs made them rich. But they ain't about to eat that. Thank you very much.
I love that. Yes. And you're right. I bet they are eating it. They just give it to us. That was Tommy Bottoms, guys. Tommy, one of the last questions I want to ask you for tonight. How do you see poetry growing? Will it ever make another comeback on the big stage in television, movies, or whatnot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, twofold. I'm watching, I was just having this conversation earlier. and I'm watching like a lot of these younger poets who are literally a generation removed, have no idea who Tommy Bottoms is, or Abyss or John Good, or they just out creating their own little energy, you know. And I pulled up in a few of these little places, and they're creating their own stuff, so and building their own culture and their own little thing. And I'm actually, it's inspiring to see. It feels good to see it, that people are, you know, keeping that spirit alive of building the culture, and you know, and because it's all about making sure people are coming in and you building something that is going to bring people in and feel at home with what you're creating. So on that level, I definitely think they will build their own arc. You know what I'm saying? So on that side, I do see that. But just what I see with a lot of my peers right now, you know what I mean? This is really a really awesome time, to be honest. I got a homeboy, John Good. He just did a show on Broadway with this show called The Mouth, where they do storytelling, and they just did a show on Broadway. Who was one of the original, well, he was on the Deaf Poetry with me, you know what I'm saying? And we got Amir Suleiman, who came up out of Atlanta as well. He's speaking of Dave Chappelle, he's actually nominated for a Grammy alongside with Dave Chappelle with that piece 9 Minutes, I think it was, that Dave Chappelle did. They got up for a Grammy for that. Jay Ivy, another artist out of Chicago, he's also up for a Grammy, and which makes that significant, because this is the first year that an actual poets are up for the Spoken Word Artist of the Year in the Grammys, because typically it's like Barack Obama or Michelle, or somebody who wrote a book and, you know, did the audio version of their book. That's typically who wins. So this is the first year the actual spoken word artists are up for, and we have two from the community. You know what I'm saying?
That's
people
amazing.
So with that being said, like I was saying earlier, it's not about to happen, it's happening. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
The Dave Chappelle of comedy, you guys. Don't you ever forget I said it. Don't you ever forget I said it. And we better be getting a book of poetry or something from you with all this crazy stuff going on. We giving you the material, Tommy Bottoms. It can write itself literally. Okay?
Oh, absolutely. So like I said, we're in pre-production right now. Like I said, we just put out our documentary Spring and Third, the story of the Yin Yang Cafe. It's got Bone Crusher, David Banner is in there, Anthony David. If you from Atlanta and you've been around the social scene and the art scene, you're gonna Fahamu. All kind of people are in here, and it's an amazing story. We're in pre-production for a couple other joints. Like I told you, we have a distribution deal with Dave Dash Studios right now, so we got a couple other projects that we're in pre-production with right now. So it's a really a good time to be alive. Definitely.
Yes, it is. Tommy, tell my audience if they would need to reach out to you besides, the movie, what else do they have or they can connect with you?
Yeah, and you can hit me up at Educated Gangster 101 or at Spring and Third, either one. You know, I handle both accounts. So, but definitely hit me up, Educated Gangster 101.
On Twitter, correct?
On Instagram, I'm sorry.
Instagram, okay. Yeah. Making sure the people can get with you. This has been lovely. Wish you nothing but the best, Tommy.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate you. Again, I'm humbled, and I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, sharing this time with me. Definitely.
You welcome. And you guys, tomorrow night I have Tech Holmes finally. We had to reschedule from last week, but I have him here, one of my favorite reality stars. Can't wait to talk to him about real world Hawaii and catch up to what he's been doing lately. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, good night. We out of here.